So hello listeners, welcome back. We were just debating on whether or not we wanted to do a reflection episode, and in doing so, we started to have a reflection episode. So welcome back to the Lost Legends of Scadrial Mistborn Adventure Game podcast. We're here to talk about Season 2 with the Fluffles gang. The topic at hand is the train wreck, not train wreck, that was Episode 1. On the train wreck side, we have everybody else, and on the non-train wreck side, we have John.
Well, okay, everybody else didn't listen to it, right? Like, just David.
Yeah, I did listen to it, though, yeah.
I haven't heard it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, recording it was terrible. I was like, oh, shit, this is gonna be, like, the worst episode ever. But then, like, the way that you edited it, I listened to it, I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't as bad as I remember. And you were like, no, it was as bad as you remember. I just did a shitload of editing. And I'm like, yeah, you did a good job. I mean, I even came up with that Sesame Street meme for it. Like, that wasn't because it was so terrible. It was like, oh, we've actually got a running joke here.
Yeah, it was painful to record. It was painful to edit. Whether or not it was better, I don't think necessarily. So here's the story for that episode. We recorded it after we had recorded all of the solo episodes for the season. And so there was this kind of sense of, we need to get to where we were at the end of the episode, which was my fault. In addition to that, there were some things that I thought were going to happen, but they didn't happen. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus there. But it made for an awkward...
Wait, are you talking about, is it
made... reflection of dish that tea.
Oh, David was supposed to come in with a set piece that he had been talking about for a while, and he did not. And there left this awkward gap at the end. We get through the episode once, and folks, it was terrible. That one, unabashedly, was terrible. We went to a bar. They ordered milk. I think they threw that milk at somebody. I don't remember. Brian, either in the most fortuitous thing that's ever happened, or in just a strike of pure loyalty to the podcast, lost that recording, and we immediately re-recorded the episode, and it turned out a little better. It's still kind of awkward.
I actually think the alloy parts from the first one were a little better.
Maybe, but I personally, recording that particular 2-episode
that painful,
I wanted to leave my own house. Like, it was that bad.
I just thought it'd be some creative spark for everybody to be able to relive that moment that the first episode had in it.
I think it had more energy the second time around.
You just looked at your recording and you were like, oh shit, it dumped it.
Yeah, it was... You listened. You were there. I don't have to bring more attention to it, but we moved on from there, and I think we did much better for the rest of the season.
Yes, that's completely true.
Magic of editing aside.
Yep.
Started on a low note, so it only got higher. Season 2.
I mean, I personally.
How did you guys feel about the solo episodes?
I feel like it was.
I was productive.
Same. I had a lot of fun with mine. It was fun having Merda along, and then I absolutely enjoyed what ended up happening with James. That was just that was a treat for me.
You know, there is a lot to unpack here. I'm glad we're talking about this stuff.
For mainline consequences, your episode had like the most implications just because of Jane. Like, because Jane became a multi-episode ordeal, if I remember.
It made me so happy.
And like, I think Tajmil's was pretty well sorted by the end of his, and then one more episode. I don't know what... Like,
shout out to Merda, the only person who actively worked towards the goal, and then I'm going to revoke that shout out for not sharing any of that information with the group.
For doing
I thought I did.
Not making it.
I thought I was going
all.
towards my goal.
It's totally a Merida thing, though. She's like, oh yeah, I love all the information. I'm just not going to share it with anyone.
You won the race and then sat down. It was beautiful.
Yeah, she had to take notes on who could stumble their way
to after. Based on what happened with Snee, we already know I have a history with this.
Snee's like, you guys know what's going on, and we're like, nah, not really.
We're like, wait, something's going on?
Oh, you mean the plans? Oh, okay, there were those. I remember those before we went off fucking trading weapons to Kolos.
We'll unpack that when we get there. Any comments on your episode, Kelly?
Merda and me as well think they're a lot more confident than they are.
I just want to say for the record, and for you listeners who don't know this is in some ways a family podcast. Not all of us, but Kelly, John, and I are all siblings, and it was
I'm your brother.
Very awkward in Merda's solo episode to be flirting with my sister in character.
Oh, jeez.
What? What?
It's something that they've joked about on
come help
the Adventure
me,
Zone about how there's that that's
wrong
awkward.
Podcast.
It's very awkward. What do you mean wrong podcast?
You said Adventure Zone.
Isn't that the McElroy podcast?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I was confused. Go on.
Yeah, well, Griffin's mentioned how awkward it is to flirt with Travis. Can confirm, very awkward to flirt with Kelly. I think she had less of a problem with it, because she sounded like she was having fun.
Why were you doing that?
I think Merida has a thing for Lady Fatine.
Oh, no, she does.
Yeah.
Really? And that's probably only going to get worse after what Lady Fatine did to Tajmil.
See, you introduced her, and I was immediately like, I have to make this a thing. I'm doing it.
Wow, Merida, I can't believe you'd go for that bitch.
If we wanted
what she did just makes Merida like her more.
I was getting some Resident Evil stuff
horrible.
Going through my head.
Demetrescu?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The thick mods.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we wanted to add context.
Let's shift over to Tajmil in your solo episode. Here's another fun fact. There is an entire section to that episode that has been nuked from orbit. Because
why?
Going from having a conversation, well, one, because I got my timelines wrong and Kelsier's probably not a cognitive shadow anymore. He is, but not like the way he was. That's irrelevant. The second half of that is because of motherfucking Limjot.
Oh, well, I got hit in the head.
Wait, so Limjot doesn't exist?
Discombobulated him.
No, Limjot exists. Tajmil had a long conversation with Kelsier. And then Limjot happened, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. That just never happened.
But you gotta tell us what that conversation was about. Why does Limjot eliminate that conversation?
Well, it was about Tajmil kind of turning a new leaf, Tajmil possibly becoming Kelsier's successor, Kelsier not necessarily feeling threatened by it. And I'd have to go back and listen to it again because it's been a long time since I edited it. But essentially, I was trying to sow the seeds for a dramatic turnaround in Tajmil. And there was dramatic turnaround, but it was suddenly, I'm Limjot now. I don't like stealing. I'm a merchant. I would never do something so crass as to steal from another person.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
that's kind of just the character of, that's my out for Tajmil to be a fucking scumbag, I guess.
So, I got a question for you, Brian. About Tajmil, and this is related to the whole arc, because Falcom's been there for Tajmil through
out of everybody
90% of the things. He kind of dropped the ball recently, if you want to spin it nicely.
I don't know, that was a perfect execution from my point of view.
Well, from certain points of view, but over the course of season 2. This arc of Tajmil, how do you rank the redemption hierarchy? Was it successful? What happened with the redemption hierarchy?
It's still in progress. I think it's still in progress.
What gains, what steps back were made?
What steps back were made were probably, I think, was it my throat that got crushed first, or I can't really remember which body part was.
You did get choked out. That was a consequence. Yeah. That was not a setback on the redemption hierarchy. That was a consequence of going back on the redemption hierarchy.
Well, kind of, but you got to keep in mind, like, I did that under the pretense I thought these people were going to fuck us over.
Well, and so I did that under the pretense that it was going to happen anyway. That doesn't mean that it wasn't your fault.
Oh no, definitely. Trust me. Tajmil is his character's designed to carry the battle scars and shit. I mean, he grew up eating out of trash cans and everything, for the love of God.
Lewis won't like that.
Lewis.
Sorry, that was a Stardew Valley joke.
I got you.
Oh, eating out of trash cans.
That hurt.
Wait, no, Lewis is the mayor. You're thinking of Linus.
Yeah.
Oh, Linus would like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Linus would chill with it.
Mayor opposes that kind of vagrancy, though.
I'm sorry, I got this in the weeds. Keep going, Brian.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so it's like the entire season kind of is summed up by, like a microcosm of Tajmil's life. So it's like, I think it was in line with what the character would do given the idea, or his idea of of what hierarchy is. Because, I mean, he came from, like, such a harsh environment that it's like, to be like, oh, I'm going to take from a bad guy instead of an innocent person. In his eyes, that's like, oh, he's doing something noble and just.
You're forgetting the part where you, like, jumped out of the window and threatened the butler.
I know.
It's kind of funny that you say that. I have kind of come to think of this podcast, at least this group mainly, as a lot of people who are playing really, really well to their characters, and it's really frustrating for me.
How so?
Why?
Well, Tajmil is the chaos, chaos unit. I don't know what Tajmil's going to do. I don't plan for what Tajmil's going to do. I just hope that he comes along when the actual plot starts going. Merda is very focused on learning about the plot and exploring the plot and then keeping it all to herself.
Yeah.
Tony does not even know that there's supposed to be a plot.
That's right.
I don't think I really need to say much more about that, but Tony is doing his own thing. It's glorious, but I cannot rely on Tony to help advance the plot. Lord Falcom has grown so frustrated with everything else going on that he's just basically non-functional anymore.
Well, I mean, didn't last season, isn't that when it got revealed that Lord Falcom's actually a Mistborn?
He's a Khandra.
Okay.
Or Khandra, yeah.
Like,
didn't that get revealed?
It did.
Though?
Not to the group, though.
Lord Falcom might as well be an NPC, like, outside of the party at this point, to a certain extent. Like, he could side with the other... Well, he literally did side with the other party over his own party.
His own party, yeah. It's kind of a Boba Fett quality to it, though, really, if you think of it.
No, it's more of a respect kind of deal.
To be fair, the only one on Tajmil's side would be Tony.
True.
And Sonichu.
Oh, not since he broke that window, because Tajmil does not respect even the people he is friends with.
Well, you got to understand though, like he's living. This is like basically a homeless person you guys are living with. So a broken window to him is kind of like.
I have the feeling you're going to start disparaging homeless people who would not do the kind of things that Tajmil would do.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have coins and shit that they can like jump.
They still
and
would not do that.
Everything else too.
Yeah, let's be real. With the skills that he has, the only reason Tajmil is homeless is because he prefers it this way.
Yes, basically,
Okay.
yeah. It's a freedom.
Tajmil is literally a klepto murder hobo, barely restrained by the plot. And
I don't think I murdered anybody.
You did
tried to.
a couple times.
Times. But I mean, I only tried because I know I couldn't do it.
The phrase, "Can I spray the coins directly into his brain from here" or something, has been uttered during recording.
I think the only reason
I
that
can't be the
Tajmil
only one
isn't
that said
a
that.
serial killer at this point is because Trevor will not allow that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Tajmil is a Dungeons and Dragons character who somehow found his way into Mistborn Adventure game.
It's because Brian has absolutely no context. Well, he has some.
I mean, I do have context, but then it's like you just kind of want to draw on it at the same time.
I was going to say,
you know?
David,
I'm not
you're saying this
disagreeing
knowing
with
full
Tajmil.
well that
I
even
love
if
Tajmil.
Brian knew the full context of the Mistborn universe, his character would be the same.
Yeah, because
I
do
mean,
think it would be different, but it would just be wackier in more specific ways.
I mean, the character Tajmil originally came from Morrowind, way back in the day, playing Morrowind, and I make a Khajiit that was exactly like Tajmil. You know, the Khajiits. What are they? They're basically the homeless people of Tamriel, so to say, outside of elsewhere.
Grab something from your friend's house, jump out a window, fight the town guard, and run away, and then come back the next day like nothing happened.
And try to give it back.
Yeah.
Sell it back, in fact.
Yep. Oh, I happened to find this in a restaurant nearby.
I'm sure we'll come back to Tajmil. Let's talk about Jaime.
Yeah, that was
I love that bit.
solo
And
episode.
let's go back to characters doing what characters are going to do, and it being very frustrating for me. It was not frustrating at first in that moment when Merida decides to leave Tony unsupervised. In fact, I leaned so hard into it. John enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I was ready for this big blow up that did happen, except Limjot happened first. Brian, we had so much to unpack. So much. 4 solo episodes. Callie had gone and researched. John had hired Jaime. David's off being a Khandra, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And then Limjot. I can't even get through talking about Jaime because Tajmil has already hijacked the conversation again. But I do want to talk about Jaime. Thoughts? I'll just open this up to the group.
I enjoyed that.
Limjot
It made me happy.
Oh no, that was the most enjoyable recording experience I think I've had. Is it forward thinking plot progression or unboxing any of the information gathered over an entire season and then 4 solo episodes, and we're finally trying to do something? Probably not the best way to do that, but it was fun as all get out.
I can't remember much of how I made Merida feel, but I know she hated him.
I think my favorite part is that it's definitely not done yet. You failed that role to cow Jaime when he left, so Jaime will return at some point.
That pleases me.
That's not completely done yet.
Didn't he end up taking my job from Tony as the book carrier?
Other way around.
No, you took that job from him.
Okay, that was it.
So what happened again with the ending?
The ending of the
Jaime.
season, or Jaime. He basically, Falcom tried to threaten him to run off, to leave and never say anything about them. And he did not roll high enough to succeed. I don't think he rolled anything for that role. But that was the last time you guys saw Jaime.
You did manage to scare him off in the moment when you threatened to introduce him to the group that he had just betrayed.
Yeah. Then you guys are like, let's go see Alloy. Let's make the narrator fix this.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
Falcom probably would kill Jaime and then just morph into a burner body and oh, well, that's a shame.
See, but you can't hide from the kind of authorities that you need to hide from if you're going to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
big guy upstairs going to know.
Yeah, it's all right. Everybody's allowed a cheat day.
It's okay, Alloy. It's my allowed murder day.
I'm on a killing diet. Oh darn, I cheated today. I'll do better tomorrow.
Interesting. Interesting.
It's all empty murder at the end of the day.
I'm starting to think that maybe Tajmil isn't the one who's most at risk of being a serial killer.
Well, it's starting to make more and more sense why Tajmil and Lord Falcom have become such fast friends.
That's true. There was also that potential plot on our client when we were hired as bodyguards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Falcom was ready to murder that guy too. Yeah.
Let's set the wagon on fire, guys.
But that is entirely personal, because he thinks that selling giant swords to the Koloss is probably a bad idea. Like, I don't know what that would be, but it's a firmly held conviction of Falcom's that he probably, if given opportunity.
Well, I don't want to give too many spoilers for Alloy of Law era, but yeah, it doesn't work out great for the Basin. To be fair, when I designed this character is entirely sincere, and he is not the one who gets corrupted with that power.
Oh, I'm sure. It's just a horrible idea.
It's just his descendants.
Yeah, I don't know if all of what he had was a horrible idea. It's just power corrupts.
No. Like, the only bad part of his idea was the swords. Like, plows? Fuck yeah. Like, rust, yeah. Sorry.
Well, I think it makes the most sense in terms of a transitional thing. Because you need to start with something that they'll find valuable. I don't know if they would have initially found plows valuable.
Yeah, but it really sets the whole arrangement off on the wrong foot.
It can, but I don't think it has to.
If the Koloss and everyone that in their society is going to be like chill about it, yeah, it's actually probably good for the Koloss and their independence. But if they're not so chill about it, and maybe they start rampaging and scavenging for resources instead of building their own society, it might be detrimental.
Well, I think the direction that we've seen them, even in like the Allomancer Jack, parts in the new books, they're not likely to go rampaging too much. They need to get pushed towards that at this point.
But it is not that time period either. Like, there's been a lot of settling down in those times and things that have changed. This is still very much the Wild West in the Ellendale Basin.
I mean, that time period is literally the Wild West.
Well, it's more civilized than what we're doing in this podcast. We don't even have electricity or, other cities, really. There's a couple things.
I mean, sure, the settlements are still all getting started up, but it's, again, this is more of, what you're referring to, the area we're in is probably more equivalent to the Renaissance than it is the Wild West.
I think, are you talking about the other group, their setting?
Yeah, the other group is literally the Wild West. Our setting is more like the Renaissance.
I thought they were like gangster times, too, kind of.
Well, they are fighting the mob. For you and Kelly, I don't know how much of the second group that David has listened to, but the character that you guys meet, Christofori, I called him Crestofori, he is the ancestor of basically a character that will be a very important plot line in season 2.5.
Right on.
And so, in season 1.5, at one point, there is a Koloss with a suit that shows up, who I describe as working for the mob. And that Koloss is a member of the tribe, and who is 300 years in the future that was recruited by Christophori and now works as the enforcement division for the mob.
Interesting.
That's kind of, yeah.
John, are you the Koloss in the other group?
Yes, I am the part Koloss in the other group.
Okay.
Do you want to talk more about how you wanted to murder this guy, David? Or
Oh, no, just, like, thematically, that's what Falcom wanted to do. I didn't want to murder the guy.
Well, I'm glad that you failed, because that would have caused a lot of problems for me. Trying to set up this time capsule for the future.
It was mainly for lack of beats, and because, honestly, if it had not been for Tajmil steel pushing the... we'll get into that whole moment for a second. So that
was also your fault,
that
David.
avalanched into Falcom becoming injured, and so why he was trying to burn the wagons is he was trying to make this venture as like unsuccessful as possible and getting swords to the Koloss. So he's trying to burn wagons while he's defending the camp. But if he hadn't become injured during all that, and the whole camp wasn't in disarray, he definitely would have plotted with Tajmil to assassinate that man. And we would have had that plot line. And the repercussions therein, I know there would have been tons.
It would have reverberated for 300 years.
Oh, man.
I understand it would have likely derailed the current plot, because it likely could not have continued, but it was probably...
Look, man, I keep trying to set you up with allies for later down the road, and you keep wanting to be like, nah, man, Falcom isn't cool with these guys.
Christopherson? You want me to be cool with him? Oh, man.
You did a job for him. He's gonna have quite a bit of power. I'm just saying, it's not a bad person to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, but Falcom's Koloss personal motivations prevent him from seeing that.
Yeah, he's racist.
Yeah, like I said, this podcast is people playing very, very well to characters, and it being very frustrating for me.
Yeah, no,
I mean, let's be fair on that point, though. David made it very clear, season 1, very early, that his character is racist against Koloss. Anyone
Koloss.
That we're exploring that plot line as much as we can.
So if then you're like, oh, well... I can't believe your character didn't ally with the people that he's clearly shown he's racist against and hates.
Okay, well, you're also putting the cart before the horse there, because you're referring to incident number 1 as if that happened before I tried to introduce the allies, when incident number 1 was the first attempt to introduce that ally.
No, true. Incident number 1, but you just said that Christophori was supposed to be an ally, and I'm like, well... If your plan was to make if this is your other plan to bring an ally in, first time, shame on you, second time, shame on me.
I'm putting tools on the table. If you guys don't pick them up, that's not my issue.
I mean, again, if the tool that you're putting on the table is something that the person is allergic to, I don't think you can place that blame mostly on that person for not picking it up.
It's the natural progression of how the events go. You met up with Gavel and he was unpopular. You didn't provide him a safe group for him to be a part of, and so then he was kidnapped and blamed for the one. You didn't go and rescue him, so instead he was rescued by Jim.
Right.
And Spook,
yeah.
And he went back to the Koloss tribe.
Right. I'm not decrying that as a consequence of rejecting the first ally, but if you're trying to say that this was an attempt at a second ally, I'm saying that's a poor decision if that was your motivation. It makes complete sense as, hey, here are the consequences for your previous action, but as the here's your second chance to get a good ally. Again, first time shame on you, or second time shame on me. The me in this case being you.
I disagree. And to quote Rashawn Solaran, never do anything for one reason, or always have two reasons for doing things. Whatever.
Always
that
have
quote
two
is.
ways to say a quote.
Yeah, that definitely was said by him.
So, quick change of subject. I enjoyed the book parts. Having Tajmil come up with, or Brian come up with random books to pass to Tony. That was a lot of fun.
It was an honest work, too. I mean, that was something that I think Tajmil would have thought was a wholesome means of getting something from somebody else that didn't involve violence. Or
It was part of the... I'd say it's a step forward on the redemption hierarchy. Definitely. Your employment.
So,
honest
but
employment.
losing that employment, is that then a bigger step back?
Yes, because it also fractured a friendship with Tony, so it had more negative connotations than it did positive ones.
Hey, that's the risk he took when
So
he hired him.
He went. He
That's
fell
true.
even further down the redemption hierarchy.
It's got to be bottoming out soon, though, you'd think.
No. Well, maybe. In a singularity, perhaps.
We'll see here soon.
Well, one last thought to cap that. I was just listening to that episode the other day while we were on the journey, and I got a good chuckle out of Tajmil's comic book series, The Merchant of Venice.
Yeah, Venice.
No. Do you know what the Merchant of Venice is?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the actual word.
Okay.
It's a Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually it's pretty anti-Semitic.
That's where you get the term pound of flesh from.
Gotcha.
But it's funny.
But no, I mean just the pun. It's great. It makes me happy. I love puns. All right, Trevor, I know you're going to move on to something else, and I interrupted. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. Let's see what happened after that. You guys got back to the city.
We skipped
got
a
into
whole
several
lot.
fights.
We went straight from Limjot to the failed expedition. Well, the not failed but kind of failed, flubbed.
I mean, most of that's
Expedition.
James.
Yeah, there was a lot of Jame, wasn't there?
Wait, what failed expedition?
The Kolos sword selling expedition.
That wasn't a failure. We succeeded.
It was a failure in Lord Falcom's mind.
That was just Lord Falcom. We aced that mission. Despite Lord Falcom's attempts to set it back.
It was flubbed at best, I would say.
Yeah, let's talk about the cheating. That's what I want to talk about.
Oh yeah. That's.
Hey, I need something
I
really
shouldn't have
subtle
said
done,
something.
even though I need no help with this. Let me choose the least subtle person in the world to attempt to help me.
I am just impressed that the
Okay.
idea that Brian came up with was as unsubtle as it was.
Yeah. See, John.
I'm not. I'm like,
John.
yeah, that's about what I'd expect Tajmil would
I
do.
can't even remember.
Let's be honest though. At least Tajmil is not subtle, but compared to Tony, completely subtle.
That is actually true. That's very... Tony would, Tajmil would knock something over and hurt himself or something else. Tony, there'd be an entire song and dance to it.
To be fair, even though Tajmil is kind of a bad choice, he's honestly the only choice.
I should have asked Merda.
Well, yeah, what would Merida do?
Yeah, nothing.
So, Brian, to
Which
refresh
would have
your
been
memory,
appropriate.
Lord Falcom's about to have this fight with this guy, and this guy's in full plate armor, and so he's just like, hey, if you see an opening, give him a little nudge, I think is the exact words. Just to give Lord Falcom a competitive edge. I don't think it was your first attempt, but one of the attempts, you're like, yeah, I'm going to try and push this guy's sword out of his hands and into the chest of a guy
I
behind
remember
him.
that. Yes, I remember that now.
Just a little nudge. Just a little nudge.
Just need
And
to
if
give
I
him a little
recall,
push.
David explicitly said,
Only.
but only do it
Only.
if it looks like I'm losing.
Yes.
I was
David was beating this guy's ass, and then
destroying
you're like,
him.
all right, his sword flies out of his hand and murders the guy behind him.
Uh-oh, David's... that man's hitting David's fist with his face. I need to help him.
It's pretty much how it went down.
Oh man.
I haven't gotten to that part. That's the next episode that I'm still trying to catch up.
It hurt a little bit. I'm gonna say, like, when it's like, in retrospect, I definitely involved Brian and Tajmil because I could and I thought it would be interesting.
It was.
I should have known.
I don't disagree with the choice.
I hoped that it was like part of the redemption hierarchy. He's like, oh, he's wearing plate armor, maybe, like, you know, like even something more subtle, like suggesting like maybe nudge his foot out of place or something, you know, like anything like that. And he's like, no, I want to like shish kebab people, like as if it were just happenstance. Like that is the thing that happens. Oops, my sword slipped and there is an impaled dude next to me. Whoopsie daisy.
And then
I mean, from a podcast entertainment standpoint, and from like, you know, choices as players in an entertainment podcast, absolutely brilliant.
So
choices.
I couldn't turn it up.
Just to complain later that Brian made that choice, like, I'm surprised he did this. I'm like, come on.
No,
bro.
I'm not surprised he did it. It was just inconvenient in the future. Which most of Brian's choices are. Which we'll get
Very
to at the
much so.
season finale.
If we named arcs like I do in the other group, that arc would be named Inconvenient in the future.
Yeah. I mean, because technically we did still take part in the murder of a bunch of noble lackeys. Like, let's not forget that.
Well, that was self-defense.
I mean, but do their friends probably see it that way? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully we got away clean though. Among other things that we almost certainly did not get away clean from. So we came back and we're like, Snee was like, oh yeah, Merida told you the plan, and we're like, what? And I think that was basically where we were at, storyline wise.
But then we got to see Witten's revealed as a secret hitman.
Yes, that was.
I'm surprised he didn't use that on me. You know that?
He did.
He did. You got a glass dagger in your shoulder.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Was that the teacup?
No, that was
No, that was the window.
Oh, the window. Damn.
Nope.
Yeah, we've
Through
had
the
a couple.
window
to
and
the wall.
threatening to murder him if he didn't stay quiet about something.
Well, I didn't want to get in trouble. You know, it's like the guy that he has the. Okay, he goes. He has to take his bin out. You know, for the garbage truck and everything and stuff. And like he missed it, and he was going out there and he was looking around in the neighborhood and like. He was checking out somebody else's bins and stuff to see if they had been emptied or not. And then this new guy he's moved in. He's like, hey, what are you doing in my trash can? And the dude's like, I'm not in the mood to deal with this at all, you know, stuff like that. So the guy comes up to him and he's thinking, listen, I need to get a punch in on him. He punches the guy and he sees like his tooth. The guy fell down and was like, oh, why'd you do that? And the guy's tooth was like pointed inward. And then he's thinking, fuck. You know, he's got to make this go away. So he starts stomping on the guy's neck to try and break his neck as fast as he can. And he kills him. And then so he's like trying to scoop him up into the trash can and stuff.
Part of the podcast.
And he puts... And
Hey,
like, anyway, he goes and
John
he runs down.
And,
he
Kelly,
runs down
if
and he
you
gets
want
a-
to say
he
anything that will never be heard by anyone besides us and Trevor later, you can say it now.
I mean, this isn't our characters doing it, right? This is just Brian explaining his logic like, oh, look, it's exactly like this perfectly innocent, natural scenario.
And then he goes and he
proceeds
gets
to describe an even more gruesome and unusual incident.
Long story short,
This is
that's
fun.
the story of Rand Paul mowing his lawn.
Shit happens, man.
Basically, kind of. I mean, he caught the guy at the garbage truck and he's like, listen, you know, I've got my trash can. I just brought it out. I'm sorry. Can you guys go fill it in? He's thinking the whole time, please don't look in the trash can. Please don't look in the trash can. And the guy does. And so he takes the garbage can guy And he puts him in the garbage truck, and he's like, if you say anything,
No, you missed the second half where it turns out that garbage man actually used to work as like the prime enforcer for the local mafia and kicks the dude's ass who thought he could threaten him.
No, I'll get to the big reveal.
Okay,
reveal.
So unless somebody else has something specific they want to touch on, I wanted to get everybody's thoughts about the worksheet.
The worksheet. We had homework.
It was.
Wait a minute.
I was the one where like we listed all of our resources available and stuff.
Yeah, your resources, what you didn't know, what's the worst thing that could happen.
Oh.
I feel like it was necessary, but it was a complete like waste of like possible momentum had it been actually like that was like a logistics recordings thing though. But it was good. We need more of them. We should have had more of them.
I was gonna say it was like novel and that I didn't know we had the worksheet, but when we actually went through it, I'm like, this isn't that fun for a podcast.
No, if we could do that in 30 minutes and then like have like a beat of story stuff for like 30 minutes, that would be cool. And I feel like if we did it on a regular basis, that would be cool. You know what I mean? I think that's if it had been used in conjunction with like a spree of recordings, it would have been fantastic. Like probably like exceptionally good. But
wait, wasn't that the day where you like came an hour late or something though?
No, I'm not saying like I'm not even saying it was anybody's fault. It was probably my fault. But like we only recorded 1 hour that day. And I think we were supposed to record later, like a week or so later, and that got canceled. Or I forget what it was, but
I think I think that if we need to use it in the future, maybe we want to do that off recording as preparation.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe we could do it through text.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's just like it was novel at the time, but that would get tedious more than the one time to listen to.
It's not the best audio.
If we had a form fillable in the Roll20, that would be amazing. So we could all look at
I'll
it
look into
and
that.
see constantly, or some method.
Or just like a Google Doc.
Because that would be like referenceable, you know, because I know that thing exists somewhere. I could not tell you the bare bones of it. I would have to ask you or John, I think, have the copy.
It's in the useful info in the Discord.
Is it now?
But it is, all of the forms are in the very, very back of the book. All these sheets that I don't use. But it's just 8 questions. What's your goal? What's your method? What's standing in your way? What you're in? What do you have to work with? What don't you know? What could go wrong? What comes next?
No, I know about that. I just meant like an actual copy of ours for the last heist we did.
Oh yeah, I was started recording on Google Docs, and then John was still recording, so I did not complete mine. I don't think.
Oh yeah, I might have it somewhere.
So John has our only usable copy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to. We could release that today on the Discord.
So that's useful.
Join our Discord
that none of us have besides John, and John is not using it right now.
Kelly and Brian, what did you guys think of the worksheet?
To be honest with you, I know this is going to probably come as a surprise. I can't really remember what the worksheet had on it.
I mean, we mostly just talked through the questions. So it was those 8 questions that I just listed off. What you're in, what do you know, what don't you know?
I mean, it's kind of good for helping develop it, but like, I mean, Tajmil's character has been something that's been curated for so long with me that it's kind of like second nature knowing.
Tajmil's too Leroy Jenkins to care about that sort of thing.
I think it would have been super useful, like episode 1. It would have been like fan-fucking-tastic.
I think it was a little annoying to go through, and it would have been better off recording.
Gotcha.
Can I ask a question that's like off the Q&A?
Sure.
Is Warwick a new character?
I was wondering that too.
I'm trying to remember where this thing came from.
Okay.
Was Warwick the name of your first character, John?
Warwick?
No, Warwick is my body, my identity.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see under the characters tab. I was like, what are you guys talking about?
So I don't want to spend too much longer on this, just because we got other recordings to do today. But thoughts on the last arc, finale, whatever you want to call it, doing the thing.
Our heist.
Ouch.
I think it was really good.
Owie.
It went different than I thought it would, but it had an end
It had
that
grave
I thought.
burdens.
I think it was spectacular. It was a good season finale.
It was legitimately. I think it was a good season finale for.
Yeah.
Despite the injuries, it made for an interesting end to the season. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me guessing at what you thought, David, you kind of expected a lot more resistance in terms of like obstacles that I would put forth, correct?
Yes, more so than the ball gala with no immediate consequences. Let's say with like light guard structure, we were able to even make a ruckus and get out pretty easily.
I mean, we did burn the place down.
And the departure, it might have been like a thing on recording times or whatever, but the departure seemed like rushed. Like it seemed like we could have done a whole everybody getting out deal.
So talking again about the Adventure Zone, one of the things that I really enjoyed about their Amnesty arc is the way that the Monster of the Week mechanic works, in that the DM doesn't necessarily take direct action against the players, but that rather reacts against the players and what they do and how their die rolls and things that way. So like in terms of the monster like fighting the people. And I've tried to, and I might have leaned in a little bit too much into this. In this particular instance, I don't think I did. Because when I was looking at this and I was designing this, I thought that the intra-party fissures and cracks were much more interesting than the standard sort of dungeon dive. Especially with the way that combat works in the Mistborn Adventure game. I thought that there was a lot more interesting conflicts developing between Lady Fatine's group and your group. And so that's why I leaned in that direction.
Yeah, I think that was a good choice.
I think it worked well.
Yeah. I mean, it works, for sure, and I like how it worked out.
Well, and I don't want to say too much because we're going to get into that in 10-15 minutes here. But y'all have not gotten away clean yet.
No. Well, you said we got out and made our escape. I thought.
That's true, but there are factors there.
No, not clean. There's fucking Tajmil in the basement.
Owie.
They didn't kill him, so
Interrogation.
Oh, fuck!
I was thinking that might be the best possible option, because then he can't talk, because he's gonna freaking talk.
Of course he's gonna talk.
Are you sure of that? I'm not sure of that. I don't think Brian's sure of that.
Yeah, I have no idea. We'll just have to see.
Maybe.
Too.
We'll see in
fluid.
15 minutes.
I'd expect
I think
him to
that's
talk.
maybe what we open on.
Insert a River Song spoilers meme here.
Actually, we'll see if he'll talk right now. I don't know. You'll have to wait and see.
Well, is there anything else anybody else wants to touch on?
I don't think so.
I thoroughly enjoyed the magic show at the end, and Merda being the one to intentionally set fire to things.
It worked well.
It did.
I mean, but there was like very little actual conflict besides Tony's ego on the line. You know what I mean?
Hey, I made a panic, and people focused more on the fire than breaking in.
Merda did good. Tony did what he should have done as well, but like there was no like pushback either besides Jim and like the personal stuff, which is its
well,
own
okay,
thing.
Tony's mom totally disowned him and named.
But that's
another
been
heir.
coming. That's been coming since season 1 stuff, when he's been minus something resources because he got kicked out.
Yeah. So.
And he never did anything but act like a spoiled teenager even after then.
Yeah. So.
To his mother. I'm not to his group, but
I think the conflict was pretty well balanced.
Yeah, I mean, it's the finale. It's not supposed to introduce bold new conflicts aside from one big one to set up the next season. Having it be the finale, I think, works well, and having the finale be the place where the conflict that's been brewing for the entire season comes to a head, I think, is what a finale is supposed to do.
I kind of agree. Yeah, it's supposed to be half cliffhanger, half slightly revealed for it to be a implementation of a finale.
Which I think we got. Literally that show was just supposed to be the distraction, while the main tension was with the other group, and we got plenty of that.
They were definitely distracted by the fire.
All I was saying was it felt off because it felt too easy.
So you'd say that there's a growing tension because you feel like it was too easy.
But then again, I said, a lot of that is before consequences have been fully laid out.
I did do reconnaissance on my solo mission along with the other group, so that would help too.
Yeah, no, that definitely helped.
Yeah, I can agree that the show part felt easier than expected, but I mean, part of that was just good rolls. He did have Tony's mom's trying to soothe against Tony's rioting.
Right.
But beyond that, I think that's setting up in service of the greater storyline. Focusing that on the interpersonal aspects rather than mechanical die rolls, I think serves it better, and the consequences will continue to introduce themselves in season 3.
Well, and I think that this might be a good place to wrap it up. We've all got season 3 fresh on our minds. We're gonna go record, and thank you guys so much for listening. You'll still have season 2.5 for a while, but that one's a lot of fun, what I know of it so far at least. And we will see you guys again with this group in several months' time, once we figure out what happens with them.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Mistborn and all related properties are owned by Brandon Sanderson and Dragonsteel Entertainment. The Mistborn adventure game is a product of Crafty Games. Special thanks to Steve Argyle for letting us use his artwork for the logo, and to Boardroom Design for putting the logo together for us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at LLOS Podcast, or give us an email at lostlegendsofscadrial@gmail.com. We hope that you'll like and share and give us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.